what I want trying to say in my Facebook slide here. Say something or write something in the chat. It's okay.
Okay, sir, I want to tell my opinion.
Yes.
I think kemampuan berbahasa mother tongue kayak gitu mungkin.
Okay, it's okay. Yeah. That's the sense. Yeah, the mother tongue is okay. Is there any ideas? Actually, what I would try to say to deliver the message in this update status? Pak Willy, do you want to say something, Pak Willy?
So I guess there are a few people who think that languages are separate. So we always think that Bahasa Indonesia has its own system and English has a separate system, and it's like people cannot mix both of them when they use the language.
Okay, good. It's very good. Yeah, it's very good. Yeah, very good guess. It's excellent. Yeah, very excellent. Wonderful. So actually, Bapak and Ibu, before we talk about translanguaging, we need to be aware of first that this is about our ideology. It is about monolingual ideology and multilingual ideology. We must be aware of this first. It is about our ideology. This is monolingual ideology or multilingual ideology. In many cases, and maybe not all, but some, I think, Indonesian lecturers, teachers has this minded. Yet there are multilingual speakers like me. I can speak my own local language, even my village language, and then my region language, and then my national language, and then because I live in Yogyakarta, I can speak a little bit of Japanese. I can also speak English. So I can speak several languages, 5 or 6 languages. But is that automatically that as a multilingual speaker, I can have a multilingual ideology? No, it is not the case. Although we are multilingual speakers, but maybe we are monolingual minded. Do you know what I mean? Why I emphasize this? Because in cultural circle, 3-circle theory, do you know this? Cultural 3-circle theories? Three circles theories, yeah? Do you know this?
Yes.
Yeah.
The inner circle.
Yes, inner circle, outer circle, and expanding circle. Where is the position of Indonesia? Is it inner, outer, or expanding?
Expanding circle, sir.
Yes, correct. Expanding circle. Meaning that in Indonesia, in expanding circle countries, Indonesia, Russia, to mention some others, English is considered as foreign language. What does it mean, English as a foreign language? English as foreign language means that the norms that we are considered is monolingual ideology. So that is why most of us, most Indonesian people who know English usually is monolingual minded, because from the first we learn English, we are in monolingual situation. We are in monolingual perspective. The ultimate goal of English as a foreign language is to be making native English speaker. We want to speak like native speakers, yeah, whether British or American. We try to imitate, to speak, yeah, as closely as possible, like native speakers. That's the ultimate goal of teaching English as a foreign language. That is why, yeah, I just remind myself at the time, 3 years ago, that when we are engaged in translanguaging, because at the time, yeah, I really enjoyed with this term, and then I talked to my supervisor that I want to do the research about one part of my research will be discussing about translanguaging. But she reminded me that, okay, yeah, you can do this, but you must be remember first that if you want to discuss about this, you must switch, yeah? You must switch, or you must be aware of your ideology first. If you still monolingual mindedness, and then it is very hard, yeah? It is very difficult for us to engage with the multilingual perspectives. All right, we continue. Come on. All right. Okay, now I talk about the foundation of translanguaging. As you have mentioned, or as you have written in the room chat, that translanguaging is closely related with bilingualism, multilingualism, language alteration, yeah. The term translanguaging, firstly used as Welsh word Prasetya, yeah, Prasetya. It is used by Chen Williams in school in Wales in 1980s. And then the term was popularized by Bakers in his book Foundation of Bilingual Education and Bilingualism, 2001. And then Ophelia Garcias, this is very well-known scholars from America, in his book Bilingual Education in 21st Century. Let's see what happens in Wales at the time. Why transmit you? You know, in Wales, they speak Wales. Yeah, they speak Wales. But the president language at the time in that community is English, because English is part of UK, yeah, UK, United Kingdom. So United Kingdom has Wales, England, Scotland, Northern Ireland, then UK. Okay, so Wales is part of the UK. They have their own language, but English is very prestigious language. And then, because they have their own language, there is a kind of a reaction against the separation of two languages, Wales and English. And then when we talk about the prestige language, like I have said earlier, that there is a prestige language that is English, and then they want to try to change the situation because English is dominant, while at the time Wales is kind of decreases. Yeah, the status is quite not popular among the students because they every time, every day, they talk in English, they communicate in English, and then the teacher, the Chad Williams at the time see that, oh, if English is always used, and then I think the same case with us in Java, like a Javanese, yeah, the young generation I think is now is not really what is not really good in speaking Japanese, yeah, for some, yeah, for some. If the situation, if this situation is not um, if the situation is not handled, managed, and then maybe that language will be gone. Therefore, they want to revitalize, yeah, the Welsh language, and then try to make an opportunity, the possibility how the Welsh can be used, yeah, in their schools, and then they try to use the language, the Welsh, together with English at the school. Therefore, Chad Williams and his colleague, David Whittle, at the time say that this is Prasetya. And then they, for sometimes, and then they change into translinguifying. And then finally, with Colin Baker, one of the scholars in Bangor University in UK, they perm to the term translanguaging. So the first time, this is Prasetya in Wales, yeah, means, and then they changed to translinguifying, and then finally they fix with the term translanguaging. What was, at that time, what was Prasetya actually doing? Translanguaging or transversio is a kind of switching language input and output. So at the time, they try to use the English and use the Wales. So two languages, yeah. So for example, they read in English and they deliver their ideas in Wales, or vice versa. They try to give the input in Wales and then the output in English, or the input from English and then the output to Wales. They try that kind of things at a time. And then Williams tried to build his pedagogical theory in translanguaging. So translanguaging is intended to reinforce, yeah, the other in order to increase understanding and in order to augment the people's ability in both languages. So because, you know, if there is two languages and then one of them is our mother tongue, the theory said that we can understand the material more, we can understand more in our mother tongue. So they try to that thing. As we know that when we learn something, and then student internalize your ideas they hear, and then assign their own understanding to the basic concept, and then finally they use the language. So in this case, they try to use the English and the Wales, yeah, to make the student understand more about the material they have delivered at the time. So they um, 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 do what they call dual language processing. So they can use both English and Wales. The process of translanguaging uses various cognitive processing skills in listening and reading, the assimilation and accommodation of information, choosing and selecting from the brain storage to communicate in speaking and writing. So they try to make use both languages in the process of learning. They try to engage in the cognitive processing skill, listening, speaking, writing, etc. At the time, William considered translanguaging only can only uh, can only be happening for student at the time. Yeah, William at the time William said that translanguaging is only appropriate for students, not for the teacher. Later on, this is changed. Yeah, but at the time the ideas, because he observed the students only, and then he wants to make sure that the students can use both languages, and then he said that the translanguaging is only appropriate for students. Yeah, this is he said. Translation is more appropriate for children who have a reasonably good grasp of both languages and may not be valuable in the classroom when children are in the early stages of learning and developing their second language. At the time, yeah, this is the early conceptualization of translanguaging. It is a strategy for retaining and developing bilingualism rather than for the initial teaching of the second language. So this is not about the teaching about the second language, but the multilingual speaker or bilingual student, yeah, utilize their languages. And then after that, bakers developed the translanguaging, yeah, because they want to promote a deeper and fuller understanding of the subject matter. As I said earlier, when you use two languages, how these two languages can enhance student understanding, yeah, can differ student understanding, yeah, and then help the development of the weaker language. Yeah, like for example, in our situation now, maybe some of our local language are weaker than the other language, our national or international language. So it can help to revitalize the weaker language. And then to facilitate homeschoolings and cooperation, because in many situations, same like in Indonesia, for example, the parents cannot speak Bahasa Indonesia, yeah, he only speak Japanese, for example, but the student who are Japanese can speak Japanese and can speak Bahasa Indonesia, and the teacher teach them in Bahasa Indonesia, and then they communicate with the parent with Japanese. So this is a kind of link, yeah, what happened in classroom, and then they bring to the house, and then they link the information from school to the parents. And it may also help the integration of fluent speakers with early learners, because they try it in the early years students at the time, and then they try to integrate, yeah, the fluent speakers with early learners. Okay, and then they create dual literacy enters languaging in context of Wales and English, as I said earlier. In speaking and listening, for example, yeah, they use one language for speaking, and the teacher play a source of sound in Wales, for example. In reading, yeah, they use English material, and then when the presentation they use Wales. They present what they have reading in Wales, for example. So they try to make a dual literacy: speaking and listening, reading and writing. Okay. Now, another developments went on. This is the problems that I have said earlier. When we talk about bilingualism, usually at that time, yeah, in the past, bilingualism is viewed from mostly non-American point of view or Western point of view. What does it mean? They see bilingualism from monolingual or monoglossic point of view. The same with I have my update status, yeah, the same. So multilingual speakers, yeah, it's not automatically they have multilingual point of view. This is the problem in America, because at the time there are many African Americans, there are many Asian who immigrated to America, but they didn't see the bilingual speaker, the bilingual students from their bilingual perspective, but they see it from the monolingual ideology. This is the problem. Because it is the problem, the fact that monolingual, I mean, when they see the bilingualism from monolingual perspective, it means that they are traditional. They apply traditional approach to bi or multilingualism. What is the aspect of traditional approach to bi or multilingualism? The first is, of course, monolingual ideology. Yeah, monolingual ideology. What is actually monolingual ideology? Monolingual ideology is English only policy. Yeah, English only policy. There is no language except English. So if you in front of your teacher said in your class, okay, murid-murid, okay, students, while you are in your class, you must speak only English, or you must speak English only in the class. That's mean that you are monolingual mindedness. Yeah. And then for monolingual proponents, monolingual proponents, bi or multilingualism is considered as problem or deficit. Yeah. in the viewpoint of monolingual ideology, bilingual or multilingual speaker considered deficit or problem. And then the standard is English norm. Yeah. The norms that apply are standard English. What does it mean? They are mimicking native English speakers. So if you ask your student to speak like native English speakers, you again have monolingual ideology. In monolingual ideology, language is seen as separate entity. Yeah, language is seen as separate entity. So each language has their own entity. It's separate from other languages. There is no interconnection between one and two languages. You have two languages, you have two containers, you have separate containers of languages, yeah, and then because of that, if you learn the second language, English and the second language, and then your English will be influenced by your mother tongue, it means that there is a language transfer or language interference from your L1. Therefore, the ultimate characteristic of these problems of deficit of language, and then you could switch or could mix the language. So code switching is a characteristic of this ideology. If you are monolingual perspective, so you cannot speak English properly, and then you can code switch. But the scholars criticize this, and then they try to counter these perspectives. So they said that this is a critical approach to bi or multilingualism. So the opposite of the aspect of traditional approach. For example, they do not see bilingualism from monolingual perspective, but they see bilingualism or multilingualism from bi or multilingual ideology. So they considered the bi or multilingual speaker is a source or a potential to communicate. They can use all of their languages to communicate with others. Whether you use two languages, you mix the languages, that's the potential. That's the source to make the communication. Because of that, the norms is not standard English, but they speak on their own. We do not judge, oh, your English is bad. Oh, you speak uh, uh, like what? Like, yeah, you speak like, I don't know. Yeah. I did when I was in the uh, graduate, undergraduate, yeah, when I was in undergraduate, I I didn't like to imitate native English speaker at the time. So I just speak like what I did now, yeah. It's like what I do now. I just like what, yeah, because I thought when I imitate native English speaker and then I became another person. It is not me. It is not Nizam, because Nizam didn't speak like that. They didn't, yeah. So I speak my own, yeah. I speak my own. But at that time I didn't have any ideas about what is this. I didn't. I don't like, yeah, because when I spoke English with native English accent, and then it is not me, yeah. Therefore, the scholars who proposed the critical approach to bilingualism said that language is a holistic. There is no boundaries. There is no separation. If you have 5 languages, and then you can interconnect between amongst those languages to communicate. Yeah, because communication is basic. If your encounter can understand you, and then that's the communication. It is not necessary for you to speak like a native English speaker to communicate with others. As far as you can understand others, then the others can understand you, that's enough. Yeah, this is the the other point from critical approach to bi or multilingualism. And then all linguistic resources are accommodated. Therefore, they employ the strategy or the term that we are going to discuss is translanguaging. So translanguaging is uh, the characteristic of bi or multilingual ideology. So for Garcia, if you bilingual speaker, you have two languages. Your two languages are not like balanced wheel. Yeah, balanced wheel. It is not like this. Because if you have at least two languages, it is quite complicated. It is quite jelibut. Yeah, it is quite complex. It is not like a balanced wheel. Balanced wheel is can only go in smooth way. Yeah, but for Garcia, bilingualism is kind of altered vehicle. Do you know altered vehicle? Can you see the wheel? One is that part, yeah, and one in the rock in the high part, yeah. They can adapt. So for Garcia, translanguaging or bilingualism is kind of alternate vehicle, when your wheel can go up, go down, yeah, adapt with the environment, adapt with the situation. It's different with this. The balance wheel cannot, I think, if you drive this in the rock like this, yeah, it stop. It can go. The same like if we bilingual speaker, yeah. If we just stuck with the two balance wheel, we cannot express ourselves, can make communication going well, because yeah, we cannot utilize the languages. Another analogy from Garcia is she said that bilingualism can be seen as banyan tree. Banyan tree. I think because Garcia didn't see the pohon beringin, ya. If she saw the pohon beringin, maybe he will make the analogy with pohon beringin. But because he knows only knew the banyan tree, and then her analogy is banyan tree. Can you see the banyan tree? It's very complicated. Interconnected one branches to another branches with the root. Yeah, it's complicated, but it's very strong foundation. Although it is complicated, but they can live even stronger, harder, even the live. Yeah, it's very good, very well. So for Garcia, bilingualism is like all terrain vehicle or banyan tree. Yeah, not a balance wheel. Therefore, she considered bilingualism is not subtractive nor additive, but she concludes that bilingual speaker is more on dynamic bilingualism. So all terrain vehicles, banyan tree is the illustration of the dynamic bilingualism. Therefore, we didn't consider having or being speaker of English, having English or being speaker of English. But The accentuation is on the use the language or what we do with the language, not about that language, but what we do with the language. It's different, yeah. So when we do the language, it is called languaging, yeah. If you have more than one language and then you use the language, that's called languaging. What you do with the language. And the language used and learned through practice and specific social context. Yeah, because when we live, we use our language to live. Yeah, from we was born the first time until we died, we use languages. We use our language to communicate in our platforms, in whatever platforms. Okay, so Garcia also said that the emergent bilinguals, so she didn't say that this is the second language learners, but she said the emergent bilinguals because it is in a continuum. Yeah, it is not a continuum. It is not a categorization, but it is a continuum from the learners to the users. Okay, so this is the some definition of languaging. The simple way, languaging is what we do with language. Yeah, we use the language. That's languaging. This is more complex definition. Yeah, like Garcia Adway said that the simultaneous process of continuous becoming ourselves and of our language practice. So how we use our language. Languaging is not a static process. Yeah, it is not static. Languaging is a process. It's not static because we use the language. When we use the language, it develops. Yeah, it develops. It recaptures the ongoing process of being created as individuals interact with the world using their linguistic repertoire. So when we interact with others, we use the language. It is not static. It must be developed. As individual language, they engage in creative and critical use of linguistic. Yeah, when we interact, yeah, we can create creativity. We can boost our creativity. Yeah. Later on, I will show you one part of my findings in my thesis, how teachers are creatively use Indonesian and English. When one language is involved, languaging process become even more complex as individual's knowledge and use of language becomes advanced in the intricate system of orienting and manipulating social domain of interaction as they settle within languages. Yeah, because when they interact each other, there are many process. Yeah, negotiation, adaptation, accommodation. So this is a very complex interconnection. Therefore, the definition of translanguaging of Garcia, yeah, translanguaging is a process of student of teacher. So now is developed, yeah. If Chad Williams in the first time is only appropriate for student, and then now Garcia said, no, this is a process of a student or teacher, yeah, use of bilingual or multiple discursive practices, essence making of learning or teaching in multilingual classroom. So there, the most quote definition is, yeah, many scholars quote this, the Garcia 2009, page 45. Translanguaging is the multiple discursive practices in which multilinguals engage in order to make sense of their bilingual words. The emphasis is on sense making or make sense, yeah, make sense, sense making or make sense. How they want to be understood, how they want to understand others. That's the idea. So back sense making, how their teaching, how their communication, yeah, can be meaningful for others, and they can understand others. So this is the make sense making. For Ofelia Garcia, translanguaging includes code switching, but also includes other sense-making discursive practices. All the discursive practices grounded in bilingual use. So all the key is that when we try to communicate, we use all of our linguistic resources. That's the idea. Yeah. So therefore, code switching is part of translanguaging for Garcia. The focus is not on language itself, but rather on discursive practices of bilingual that are readily observable. So the focus is not the language. If you focus on language, so this is code switch. But this is, again, the process of using, or the using, how we see the use, how student, how teacher, how we use our linguistic resources to make our communication meaningful, understandable. Yeah, that's it. Okay. So this is the point. Yeah, the pointers. So sense making bilingual practices from speaker's perspective, not from language perspective. Yeah, if it is from language perspective, it means code switching. From bilingual speaker's perspective, not from a monolingual or monoglossic perspective. Again, translanguaging is not seen from monolingual perspective. If you still have this ideology, and then translanguaging is not working. It includes all students or teachers. Again, yeah, this is repeats the ideas of Garcia. So for Garcia, translanguaging is not just a matter of arranging language input and output, yeah, as considered by William. So she developed the idea. It is not about language input and output, but children move between their languages spontaneously and pragmatically. Because if you are bilingual speakers, so, and many times we just spontaneous to use our mother tongue, yeah, or because of this is pragmatic strategy, we must use our mother tongue, although we learn English. So for Garcia, there are 7 operationalizing principle of translanguaging. The first is heterogeneity in language is celebrated, means that don't blame, don't judge bilingual speaker is deficit, because if you judge the bilingualism is deficit, then you are monolingual perspective. Collaboration among both teacher and students, because the context in the classroom, so you must collaborate with the teacher. If you want to apply the translanguaging, you must collaborate with the teacher. The teacher must collaborate with the students. Because without this, and then there is no translanguaging. Or the translanguaging is cannot reach the peak goal, yeah. And then learner-centered classroom, yeah, because this is the students is the focus. So this is learner-centered classroom. Language and content integration, because we learn content from with English. We try to understand try to understand the materials. And then inclusive plurilingual use from student, experiential learning, and local autonomy and responsibility. Yeah, because in many classes, like in international program, the rules is teachers must speak English only. Yeah, that's the rule. But if you want to employ this translanguaging, yeah, you must be responsible with the authority, yeah. For example, the dean, the rector, because the rector said that in our class, English use only, yeah. But it is your choice as a teacher to take responsible if you want to have a bilingual classroom or yeah, kind of translanguaging if you want to apply translanguaging. All right. So this is the last part of my presentation about the information. Because now from what happened developed by Garcia and then many scholars apply the translanguaging. And then today's representation is myriad, is almost in all aspect of life. Scholars use translanguaging. Like, for example, translanguaging in the body. It is interesting. Yeah? They try to research on how parts of our body in communication. Yeah, yeah. We use kind of body language, for example. This is they concern. Yeah, Blacklist and Chris concern. And then translanguaging and CLIL, translanguaging and code switching, translanguaging and ALF, translanguaging in EMI, English, ALF is English in Lingua Franca, EMI English as a medium of instruction, translanguaging in identity, translanguaging and language minority, translanguaging and language policy, translanguaging and linguistic landscape, and literacy, and multilingualism, semiotic, social interaction, even translation, digital mediated communication, and even music, yeah. There's a link with Sticky, do research on translanguaging and music, and cinema, yeah. Duncan, 2016, translanguaging and cinema, translanguaging and attitude, translanguaging and newspaper, translanguaging and language skills, translanguaging pedagogy, and translanguaging theory. From all of this, yeah, from all of this, the most recent is in translanguaging pedagogy. Many scholars do translanguaging in this context, yeah, in classroom, in teaching and learning process. Besides translanguaging, actually there are many terms to express bilingualism or multilingualism, such as metrolingualism, proposed by Otsuji and Pennycook. Yeah, it is in reference to the complex language practice within urban centers. And then polylanguaging and polylingual languaging, proposed by Jorgensen. And then heteroglossia by Bakhtin. Code-basing and translingual practice by Katagaraja. And multilingualism by Nguyen, Nguyen from America. And then hybrid language practices by Guterres and transidiomatic by Jacobet. From this, yeah, the representation of translanguaging, actually there are three areas, yeah, that scholars try to define. So there is a classroom translanguaging. This is the most well known, with a pedagogic emphasis, yeah, whether it is planned or serendipitous. It is planned or not, it's just spontaneous, yeah. And there are universal translanguaging with cognitive, contextual, and cultural aspect, yeah. Yeah, like I said earlier, with the body, with semiotic, with movie, with cinema, yeah, they use the translanguaging. And the new stream, they try to research on neuro-linguistic translanguaging. Yeah, I don't have any ideas about this. Yeah, but they try to do the research on neuro-linguistic translanguaging. Okay, translanguaging in ELT. Okay. ELT is English language teaching. Scholars, some of the scholars said that ELT refers to the activity and industry teaching at least to non-native speakers. We must be very careful with this because when we talk about ELT, our preference will be on EFL or TFL or TEFL, yeah, teaching English as a foreign language. Translanguaging is not appropriate for ELT if, yeah, the ideology, mindset, and language policy remains promoting monolingual ideology. If you want to apply this in your classroom, you must be sure, you must be pay attention first with these three, at least these three aspects. Your ideology, what is your ideology? What is your mindset? And then what is the language policy? Because if these three aspects are not there, so it is difficult for us to apply translanguaging. Yeah, this is only for reminder, yeah, to remind us all that translanguaging is quite specific in their context, in their policy, in their ideology and the mindset. So be careful if you want to apply this in your classroom. Okay, this is the last part of my presentation about the recent results. Yeah, I only picked 3 articles. Yeah, the newest article talking, researching translanguaging. The first is from Goodman and Tastanbeck, 2020. So Goodman and Tastanbeck tried to formulate the idea of code switching and translanguaging, because when I learned translanguaging in the first time, the question emerged is, what is the difference between translanguaging and code switching? And this is not easy to answer. Yeah, but I think what had been done by Goodman and Tastanbeck 2020 could help us to understand how we can differentiate between translanguaging and code switching. So that's the first part of their research. And the second part is they try to do the survey, the perception of the teachers, what the teachers' perception on code switching and translanguaging. Yeah. Okay. So the first part is very theoretical, and the second is practical. Okay. I want to go to the most important part of this. Yeah, you can see this. Can you see this? Also, it is
Yeah.
small, yeah, because yeah, I just take from the article. So if somebody or someone or you ask how we differentiate, how we distinguish code switching and translation. This is the Goodman and Tastanbeck. This is very, I think it's clear, yeah, very clear. So in this part, yeah, the features of code, these features are both for code switching and translation. Yeah. So the concept of alternation, mixing, hybridity, yeah. This is the features of both code switching and translation. Language practices as spontaneous and or intentionally pedagogical. Yeah, this is also both for code switching and translation. Teachers and student beliefs and practices as hegemonic, resistant, and transformative. This is also the features of both code switching and translation. But there is a features of their own, like code switching. This is the features of code switching. Inspiration of languages, monoglossic ideologies, emphasis objective observation of language practices, and practices as indicators of language dominance or proficiency. Yeah, if you talk about language dominant or language proficiency, it's on code switching. But these features are either integrates or shifts to translanguaging. Yeah. So these features, which is both for code switching and then this is integrates to translanguaging only. Yeah, because now it is not appropriate anymore. It's no longer relevant. This feature is still for code switching. Yeah. In this era, but these features is not no longer relevant for code switching, and then they integrates to translanguaging. And this feature, separation until dominance or proficiency, shifts to the feature of translanguaging. What is the feature of translanguaging? Holistic view of languages. And then heteroglossic ideologies or multilingual ideologies. Emphasis on subjective understanding of language experiences. And then meaning making and identity formation. So this is on or makes sense, meaningful. Your communication is meaningful. So if you have any question about the how we differentiate between code switching and translanguaging, this framework done by Goodman and Tastanbeck is helpful to understand. If you don't understand, you can ask me later on, yeah, after my presentation. But I think this helped me to figure out, yeah, what is the difference between code switching and translanguaging. Okay, we continue for the second research. Yeah. So the results. Oh, sorry, where are you? Oh, the findings, yeah. This is the findings. The article reinforces the argument that teachers, educators, and what is this? Or ESOL researchers do need to shift from monoglossic view of languaging practices to holistic heteroglossic view. So Goodman and Tastanbeck suggest the teachers or pre-service teacher or in-service teacher to switch their view from separate monoglossic to holistic view of language. Yeah, this is on their findings. Yeah, one of their findings. The second findings: reason on teacher beliefs and language practices need to be reviewed critically to identify whether they take a monoglossic or heteroglossic view of language practice. Yeah. So we must be sure, very sure, yeah, in what ways we stand, whether monoglossic or heteroglossic. The implication, yeah, the implication is suggests that teachers and teacher educators in English language classroom need to be explicitly taught ways to incorporate heteroglossic ideologies and intentional translinguistic pedagogies in their teaching practice. Yeah, because they have evidence that most of the teachers' perspective or perception that there is a shift between from code switching to heteroglossic. So the findings prove that, and the implication and the teachers must be very sure, yeah, firm with their foundation of teaching, whether they want to use monolingual ideology or heteroglossic ideology. Okay, and then the second research in 2020 done by Song and Lin, they researched about translingual practices at Shanghai University. The object of the research is to investigate lingua cultural experiences of both international and local students enrolled in ME master's degree program in the top rate in the Shanghai through the analytical lens of translingual practices. What they found, they said that students enrolled in ME programs engage in the diversity of translingual practices as supported by different social space at the Shanghai University. Yeah, because actually the translanguaging naturally is usually happening outside the classroom. Yeah, outside the classroom, usually. Because in class, I said again, in class there are many restrictions for us to freely apply for translanguaging in the class. But outside the class is very fluid, it's very dynamic. So therefore, Song and Lin said that there are three social spaces that students use or apply translanguaging. In the first two cases, in the first two social space, student informants have still mobilized linguistic resources of both Chinese and English in order to respectfully make sense of and help modify the urban and institutional spaces. Yeah, they use both Chinese and English, yeah, in order to respectfully make sense. Again, yeah, the key word is make sense. So when they try to understand and then to make the communication meaningful, they use both Chinese and English. In the third case, the translingual practices occurred within a scenario of ALP-mediated online academic discussion. Yeah, because again, yeah, if you do not play the translanguaging in your classroom, so we can see, yeah, the evidence, because in classroom there are many restrictions. Yeah, there are many rule, there are many policy that teachers cannot freely apply for translanguaging. Okay, and then the implication, student translingual and transcultural awareness need to raise. Yeah, the implication is that, yeah, students need to raise their translingual awareness. All right, the last, I think this is the last slide of my presentation. Okay, this is about the translanguaging theory and practice, how stakeholders perceive translanguaging as a practical theory of languaging. I think this is from Song and Lin again. So the objective is to review stakeholders' attitude toward the implementation of translanguaging in foreign language classroom settings. Stakeholders generally hold a positive attitude toward languaging practice in the context. Yeah. Usually, yeah, this is the most emerge findings. Yeah. If you do research on findings on attitude, usually the result will be very positive. Yeah, I don't know, but mostly very positive. Yeah. The application, yeah, there are 3 applications. The first is both teachers and students should raise their multilingual awareness to keep up with a multilingual world. And the second, it is necessary to develop systematic and contextualized translanguaging pedagogical strategies. Yeah, you must plan. Yeah, you must make plan. What will you do? What is the goal? What is the activities? Yeah. And then third, collaboration between teacher and student and amongst teachers should also be, yeah, because without collaboration among you and student, among you and the other teachers, and then we can see, again, yeah, again, because this is the classroom setting, there are many restrictions, there are many rules, there are many policy, but it is not the case if you do it outside the classroom. Yeah, because outside the classroom, students will be freely use their own languages. Yeah, because in the classroom, usually we ask students to speak Bahasa Indonesia or we stick with the English. Yeah, but in their social interaction outside the classroom, it will be very fluid, dynamic. Yeah. All right. So, Pak Willy,
Yeah, Pak.
I want to share a little bit about my part of my research result. Can I?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. So also you the part of my findings, yeah, in my thesis. So the use of LOTE. LOTE means languages other than English. From my findings, I can say that it is impossible for teachers in multilingual education to use English all the time. Do you agree with me?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, you must be agree because this is the findings of my. No. I mean, I just want to make sure the teachers, Indonesian teachers like me, I want to make sure myself that as a multilingual speaker, teaching in multilingual settings, it is impossible to speak only in English. Yeah. What is the evidence? First, come on. What language do you use when you greet your student?
Indonesia.
I think we usually do Arabic, right? Or bahasa Indonesia. Selamat pagi. But I think in in UII, I usually use Arabic. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. When I when when I interview, okay, I give you the context of my research. Yeah, the context of my research is in international program from 4 universities. Yeah, the teachers are uh, 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 university teachers in international program. The program with English as medium of instruction. And the first time when I interviewed the teachers, they said that, no, sir, we always use English very confidently. Very confidently, yeah. And then I asked them, are you sure? Really? Yes. And then I give them the evidence. No, I think you don't speak all English. No, sir. We speak all the time in English. No, I think. Because in the first time when you came in and then you said Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Is that English? And then they realized, yes, they realized they didn't speak all in English. Even in greetings, yeah, to open and to close the class, they use Arabic. Yeah, this is part of my, yeah, greeting to start the class, calling for praying, and praying, they do it in Arabic. Yeah, like this. Okay, let's start by basmalah. Basmalah is English? No, of course not. Basmalah is great. How is today? Good. And then they should answer, great. And then the teacher said, Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah is English? Of course not. Alhamdulillah is Arabic, right? Although I write it in Bahasa Indonesia, yeah? But when they speak, because I cannot write it in Arabic, yeah, because this is from the recordings, yeah, I transcribe in Bahasa. All right, so this is, yeah, like for example, they do the praying, yeah, after Assalamualaikum, and they do praying, Alhamdulillah, hidasta'inu, wa nastaghfiru, and blah, 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 blah. This is English? No, of course not. Yes. There are many. Okay, like, okay. Yeah, this is to greeting, to end the class, calling for praying and praying, yeah. Again, do it in Arabic. All right. Besides greetings, in many occasions, teachers also use Bahasa or other languages than English to referring to local terms. For example, name of stores, companies, places, yeah, because we cannot change to English. We must use Bahasa Indonesia. For example, Jogjatronic, Win, PT KAI, Telkomsel, ya, kereta api, Raja Ampat, ya, there are many. And then the other thing is Indonesian terms of the rest. Yeah, they use ba rather than sister. It's quite weird, yeah, if you say sister, yeah. Sister X. Mbak Redi, Sister Redi is not really okay. Pak, ya, Bu, ya, this is very formal. Mr. Nizam, Dr. Nizam, Pak Nizam. This is because they introduced me in the classroom, ya. When I observe and then they introduce me. Pak Jokowi, Pak Mahfud, ya, Mbak, Bu. This is, and then commonly used terms like gotong royong, Pak Sehat Lima Sempurna, kos-kosan, maklar. Oh my gosh, this all Indonesian. Yeah, they don't speak it in English. So gotong royong Hawi, yeah, like a cooperation, but cooperation is, the side is not really there. Yeah, if you say cooperation, gotong royong, or help each other, it's not there. But if you say gotong royong, and then your cultural background will play in your mind. Yeah, oh, gotong royong, yeah, is in the morning, people come, yeah, and then they gather. Oh, it's very meaningful, yeah. Pak Sehat Lima Sempurna. Okay, and referring to domain term, yeah, like economic, rupiah, of course, monopoli, surat utang negara, UMP, they can use it in English, but use it in Bahasa. What is this? Education term, yeah, there are many, like KKN, KKN, yeah, KKN is, it's weird. KKN, KKN, yeah, or UK does UK, yeah. UK means uji kompetensi, yeah. So uji kompetensi. The teacher said the UK, not the UK. because it is not United Kingdom, but uji kompetensi. Studi or kuliah, ya. Kelas bertaraf internasional, turunan, derivatif, ya. And then what is? Consistent term, yeah, there's many, yeah, too many, like DPR, DPD, yeah. And politik, yeah, like pilkada, and then GAM, yeah, tahanan perang, relasi kuasa. Okay, so many. Asking confirmation joking, yeah, I think is like as confirmation apa, artikel berapa, apa lagi, yeah. Okay, this is for ada for joking. I think this for joking. What is joking? Oh, like yeah, like this. Chile, yeah, the Chilean president. Chile does sambal. This is shouldn't laugh, yeah. It's not sambal. Chile is a name of the country, not sambal. And then prisoner of parents-in-law. Yeah, this is also the joke, yeah. Tahanan mertua. What is that? It's prisoners of parents-in-law. Tahanan mertua. Okay, this is for joke. Pancasila, millennial, and then this is local repertoire. Lah, ya. 3,000 lah. Yeah, this is very Indonesian. Lah and low, ya. Ini low, only one palmer low. Yeah. Jadi cost lah. The price goes up. Okay. Oke, kok gitu deh. This is mending ya. Or adding extra explanation. If the teachers explain for along methods, yeah, she or he will use bahasa Indonesia because it's very long. Okay, yes. And then what is this? Attracting student attention. Okay. This is the Thai. Yeah. This is the teachers. Yeah. She said Thai's language. Yeah. Yeah. This is Thai language. I really like these teachers because when she taught, she used 4 languages: Japanese, Thai, Bahasa, and English. It's very, but the class is very dynamic. Although she used 4 languages in international program, but I can feel, yeah, when they, yeah, for a particular time, she used a Thai language. At a particular time, when she tried to explain about the bargain in local market, she used Japanese. And the students are engaging. They are very happy. They, yeah, like this, like this. What do you and then the small noise. Im Sansel, yeah, he explained how local seller, yeah, or local buyer try to negotiate, try to bargain with the local. Yeah, here's the Japanese. Because in the class there are 2 or 3 students from Malaysia, and then I think the teacher want to make contextualize, yeah, with the Malaysian student. All right. Embedded, yeah. I think so many, yeah. If you then have a question about this. Okay, Pak Willy, I think I finished. I think to rest for a while, I think. It's like a marathon, yeah. It is more than 1 hour, yeah.
Okay, thank you very much, Pak Nizam. And
Yeah.
for all participants, if you have any questions regarding the topic, please feel free to ask You can use the chat box, or you can just say something, turn on the microphone and say something. You can.
Yeah, it is not asking if you want to discuss. Yeah, I think it's okay.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, you can also express your thoughts or ideas.
Yeah.
Sir, may I ask a question or maybe a discussion?
Yeah, sure.
Yes, yes, okay, sure.
Jadi translanguaging ini kan apakah berhubungan sama intercultural learning? Jadi belajar bahasa Inggris melalui kebudayaan seperti itu. Jadi kan beberapa siswa itu kan pasti akan lebih mudah mempelajari target language apabila siswa itu mengenal kebudayaannya sendiri, habis itu baru mengenal kebudayaan dari target language tersebut. Bagaimana Bapak?
All right, good. Yeah, it's a very good question.
Terima kasih.
But the idea is translanguaging is not about the learning through culture. Yeah, the idea of translanguaging is we make use of all our linguistic resources. Yeah, make use of our all linguistic resources. So, for example, you can speak Japanese, you can speak Bahasa, you can speak English, you can speak Arabic, for example, and then you can speak your local language, yeah, in your area. For example, if you were born in Kalimantan, and then you have Kalimantan, for example, maybe Daya or Malay, yeah, from Kalimantan. And then you can use all your linguistic resources to make your communication meaningful. Yeah. So the idea is using all your linguistic resources to make your communication meaningful. You want to understand what your interlocutors, your speaking to, and then they also need to understand us. Yeah, that's the idea of translanguaging. As far as you can make your conversation, your communication meaningful, that's translanguaging. Whatever you like it, you use. Because sometimes, yeah, in many situation, like the teacher that I have explained, for example, if she wanted to explain about bargain in local language, I think the idea is not really there where you explain it in English. Because if we go to, for example, Pasar Beringharjo, you will be close with the terms like mbok. Yeah. And the term mbok is not, we cannot find the mbok in English. What is mbok in English? It's hard to find. Why don't you use your Japanese? Because your student live, because the setting of my research in Yogyakarta, mostly when the students are in Yogyakarta, they know 1 or 2 Japanese. Yeah. Yeah, at least mbok is, they know, yeah. Yeah, if they have lived, for example, 6 a month, I think when they go to warung, and teacher use that term, mbok. Yeah, she didn't explain in English. And then when I asked, after I observed in her classroom, and then I asked the teacher, why did you use English? And then she answered me, it was no point if I explained in English and then my students didn't understand me. So is it for? Because the explanation of the teaching, one of the aim is to make the student understand. If they understand, It's okay. Yeah. And I only use Japanese only for that situation. Not all teaching, I use Japanese. I agree with this teacher. I think this teacher is very, very wonderful. Yeah. I think his mindset is open. Although she didn't learn about translanguaging, but yes, yeah, substantially, she did translanguaging. Okay. Did I answer you, Mbak? Indah?
Yeah, thank you, sir.
All right.
Okay, thank you very much for the question. Is there anything else or any other questions that you would like to discuss with Pak Nizam? Please feel free to open the microphone and say something.
You can practice translanguaging, ya. Yeah.
Pakai bahasa Indonesia, Pak?
It's okay. It's okay. Yeah.
Oke,
If
silakan.
it is very hard to speak English, and then you can use bahasa, you can use maybe Japanese, because I know some Japanese, so it doesn't matter at all. We want to express in Japanese, in bahasa, and English, or some of Arabic, yeah, because I know some words in Arabic.
Oke, silakan. Menarik
Okay.
ya. So, does it mean, apakah berarti bahwa kita harus mulai meninggalkan gagasan tentang English only approach when we teach?
Yes. Yeah. Like Goodman and Tastanbeck, yeah. Like Goodman and Tastanbeck, they found that the teacher should switch from monolingual ideology to heteroglossus. Yeah. So we must switch, because the era is now is different from 20 years ago. 20 years ago, English is only dominated by English-speaking countries. Yeah, 20 years ago. But now, English is everywhere. English is everywhere. Yeah. So we can use our own. It doesn't mean that we don't speak English. No, the idea is not we don't speak English. No, the idea is we can use all our linguistic resources. Yeah, let the student use their linguistic resources, because they have their own languages. They have their way to explain, to express themselves with their own languages. As far as they comfortable, they understand, even they confident, why not? Rather than, for example, you insist your student to speak English only, but the students didn't encourage. The student feel, oh, I'm same, I'm introvert, so I can speak English, so I just quiet. No, that's the idea. If you are, for example, if your students are not really confident in speaking English, you can give them opportunity to express in their own language at that time, yeah. But not all, because the idea is not all. Because if you give all your opportunity, for example, 2 hours, and then you give 2 hours only to speaking with bahasa, so we don't learn English. It's not that, yeah. It's not that. So why we use the idea is we want to make the expression, the communication are meaningful, both for student and both for teachers. Rather than we wait for 5 minutes, for example, in many cases in our classroom, if we are student to say something, and then there is a kind of big pause, yeah, because they must think first in English, and then maybe 5 minutes, yeah, they think, and then they manage how to express in English. But if they are directly allowed to use their own languages at the time, okay, you can use, yeah, you can use all linguistic repertoire to express this. I think maybe without waiting for longer time, yeah, they will react because we open, yeah, a possibility for them to express in their own language. That's the idea, Pak Willy.
Oke, yang sering terjadi itu kayak there is a kind of penalty di kelas ya. Saya temuin beberapa kasus itu.
Yes, yes. That's I think the culture is not longer relevant. Yeah. So again, yeah, I think in my research, some teachers also do that strategy. Yeah. They said that, Pak Nizam, saya menerapkan apa namanya penalti itu apa namanya?
Hukuman, denda.
Denda. Saya menerapkan sistem denda bagi mereka yang mengucapkan bahasa Indonesia. Oh my God. Tapi I just speak in my heart, ya, because as a researcher, I don't have to comment on them, ya. I just try to dig, ya, try to probe their perception, their experience, yeah. So, oh my God, it's still there, yeah. But the strategy of penalty or fine is still used by the Indonesian teachers. Even we have already merdeka for 70 years, yeah. 70 years, they still have a fine. They still apply fine for students. Yeah, that's the fact. But I think this kind of thing should be switched, yeah, should be switched. It is no longer relevant with our Jewish theoretical perspective, yeah. I think because this is multilingual third era, yeah, multilingual third era, we must switch with the multilingual mindsets. So yeah, maybe I don't know, but yeah, it depends on you. Yeah, it depends on the teacher whether you want to still apply for the fine, you still want to employ English only policy. Yeah, it depends on the teacher. But as ELF learners, yeah, as ELF learners, one of the objective of my research is to raise the awareness of this. So again, yeah, I encourage teachers, whether you are free service, in-service teachers, or even experienced teacher, to switch from monolingual ideology to multilingual ideology.
Okay, interesting. Pak Nizam, I guess there is a question in the chat box.
Yeah.
You may want to check it.
Okay, let me see.
Two questions. Okay.
Okay, yeah. From Nantia, yeah. Is languaging point of view only for teacher? How do we use it for a student, encourage them to be more fluent English? Because possible this bahasa Indonesia. No. Translating is both for teachers and students, but because the policy is on the teacher, yeah. So the teacher plays an important role, yeah, in applying translanguaging, because the class is yours. You are the what, the king, yeah, at that time. For 2 hours teaching English, you are the king, you are the queen, you are the power, you determine everything. So it is not about the teacher itself, but the teacher and the students. The student will apply their linguistic resources when when they are allowed to. But if you say that, okay, students, during the lesson, you are not allowed to speak other languages, how we can say practice the translating then? Okay, but if you say that to the student, okay, students, today we are going to discuss this, and then you can use any single language that you use in the classroom. Okay, and then but you must decide, yeah, decide the objective, decide the activities, yeah, so that the student can use. If you observe outside the classroom, it's very dynamic. Yeah, it's very dynamic because there is no limitation, there is no restriction, there is no policy. Outside the classroom, this is very fluid interaction between student and other students. You can observe, yeah, by yourself outside. For example, waktu istirahat, ya, waktu istirahat, try to go outside and then try to observe, like Bu Garcia tadi, ya, Bu Ofelia Garcia tadi, dia observe the student outside the classroom, and then because in America there are many students are coming from Spain, yeah, or Hispanic heritage, yeah, because from Latin is the Spanish, yeah, from Spain, and then there are many immigrants from Spanish, from Latin, and then they speak Spanish, and then we observe outside the classroom, many things happen. They mix the language, they try to use covert and overt ideology, yeah. Covert and overt means if you try to use the cognate language, yeah, yeah. Like for example, in the example of Garcia, the teacher said the tree is bigger, and then the student repeat by saying the tree is grander. Why grander? Because grander in Spanish is big, but he add R, bigger, grander. This is a kind of cognate, ya. Yeah. So Mbak Sidantia atau Bu, ya, Bu, I don't know, Bu Sidantia atau Mbak Sidantia. This is not about the teachers, but about the teachers and students, ya. So you can, ya, allow student to express in bahasa Indonesia if you want to, yeah. If they, for example, if they ashamed, or if they have difficulty to express in English, and then let them speak in bahasa Indonesia, yeah. Because most students use bahasa Indonesia when they don't know, yeah, no problem, yeah. But they apply the code switching then, yeah, because in code switching, yeah, because they remember the idea of code switching, because they cannot speak English well, so they code switch, yeah. Yeah, that's the difference between translation. But no problem, because from Garcia ideas, code switching belongs to translanguaging, yeah, no problem. One of the strategy in translanguaging also code switching, yeah, no problem. So the student, because of they cannot speak English well, and then they could switch, no problem. Yeah, that's part of translanguaging. Okay.
Okay. And there are a few other questions in the chat.
Okay, yeah.
Andi?
Adi Putrado, student of PBI. Okay, I think we haven't met before. First, is it the best for children OML start to speak the English as soon as possible? Okay, second, does that mean that they started to translating? Here in English, yeah, in UK, the mother is encouraged to speak first with their own language. Yeah, to speak first in their own language. Can you imagine? In English, yeah, in UK. For example, the mother is Polish, orang Poland misalnya. And then they encourage to speak with the baby with Polish, not English. What is the idea behind this? Why the mother is encouraged to speak in Polish, not English? Although the baby and the mother were in English. Why? Because the closeness between mother and children is built with their own language, not English. Ya, jadi kedekatan hubungan batin antara ibu dan anak itu dapat dilakukan dengan jika mereka berkomunikasi dengan bahasa mereka sendiri. Jadi di sini ibu-ibu yang baru melahirkan diomongi, pokoknya nanti kalau kamu ngomonglah dengan bahasa yang kamu bisa. That's the mother tongue. Jadi it's not only always it's not always the best for children to speak English first. No, they must speak their own language first and then English. Even in the English bahkan di Inggris sendiri. Second, does that mean they started to? Oh no, they don't start. If you consider Ovalia Garcia, because you did mention what age the children, what age. If it is, for example, in the kindergarten, they hope already know the mother tongue, and then they go to school and then they speak English, and they do trans language. They do the trans language, because, for example, the teacher. Like my son, this is my experience, my son. I brought him to UK when he was, I think 6 years. Waktu dia berusia 6 tahun. He didn't know English. Sama sekali nggak bisa bahasa Inggris. He only know bahasa Indonesia. And then he goes to school where English is the medium instruction, where he didn't know any single person. He didn't make a friend yet. Dia belum punya teman, belum. Can you imagine that? But he knows from time to time. He learned from time to time. Jadi pulang sekolah dia tanya, tadi guruku bilang ini, artinya apa? Oh, ini. Tadi dia tanya lagi, ini artinya apa? Ini. He know. He learned something. He hear the words, he try to imitate, he try to answer the teacher. And then amazingly, next month, he can communicate. Although it is not really perfect because 1 month. But after 3 months, he can speak English well. So I think they try to translate language. The teacher tried to give input in English, and my son answered it in Bahasa. But because at the time, the teacher doesn't understand him, and then there is a Malaysian student who were in 6.5 atau 6.6 I think. Year 6, ya kelas 6. Ya, dia jadi semacam buddy. Buddy itu semacam apa ya kalau gitu? Kayak pendamping gitu ya. Ya, jadi kalau gurunya tanya in English, and then anak saya jawabnya bahasa Indonesia, tapi ke buddy-nya itu, orang Malaysia itu, yang sudah di sana kelas 6. Nah, orang yang Malaysia itu menyampaikan gurunya dengan bahasa Inggris. This is a kind of translation. He give input from English, he answer it in bahasa Indonesia. Yeah, this kind of translation. Third, if there is a specific best time for them to expose my English language and start to speak with it, in what time? What is it? I think you are under the theories of SLA idea. Yeah, orang SLA still theorize that there is a golden age, yeah. There is a golden age. It can be yes, it can be no. For example, there is Pakistan people who came to England maybe in 40s, yeah. But because he used English, he speak with English, and then he can speak English. So I mean, there is no specific time or moment. It's not the specific. The idea is not the specific, but the exposure. The exposure. Yeah, the exposure. If you get many exposure of English, and then you can speak English. Whether you are maybe 16, 60, or 80 years old, no problem. But you can speak because, yeah, like here, for example, in English, if you go to market, store, you must speak English. If you go to doctor, you must speak English. If you meet somebody, you must speak English. Yeah, because you use English every time, every day, everywhere, and then you can speak English. It is not about the age. It is about the exposure. Yeah. Like, yeah. But of course, the children, because their brain is still elastic, yeah, they can imitate quickly. Yeah. They can speak like my children now, they can speak like British people. While I myself still like this. This is the Sleman English. Yeah. My style is Sleman English. Sometimes my children protest. Dad, why do you speak English weird? Yeah, she said, they said weird. Why? Because I didn't speak like the British. I said because my brain, yeah, I use the SLA theory, yeah, as fossilized. Yeah, it is not elastic anymore. Yeah, I can speak, but I can imitate accent. I can understand, but I can mimicking. But there, because they are in the school, they speak English at least 6 hours a day. They interact with English people. Yeah, yeah, they can speak like British. So again, Mas Andi, I think it is not about the time, the moment, but this is more on exposure. Ya, semakin banyak exposure of English you have, semakin cepat siapa saja, ya, anak kecil, orang tua, everybody can speak English well. But if you never ever exposed by English, walaupun ada bayi, anak kecil, ya, in golden age, nggak bisa juga. The problem is not there. The problem is the exposure. Okay, the other question is, hi sir, actually I'm still confused. Okay, confused is tanda that you think something, yeah. Translating and switching, could you please tell me more there? Okay, tadi Mbak siapa nih? Lifatur, lihat itu tadi nggak Mbak? Did you see the diagram? Mbak Lifatur mana? Lifatur, do you see the program, the diagram? Halo, Mbak Lipatur. It's the people. Okay, we go first to Mbak Agista ya, until Mbak Lipatur's present. Halo Mbak Agista, are you okay? I think I know Mbak Agista ya. I ever met Mbak Agista, I think. Honestly, I just joined this session and I have little information about this, but I really interested with the topic. I tried to read what is really from Google. My question is there any limitation for us as teacher to let the student to do the same? For example, teacher can apply for low-level student, then when they get higher, it will be able to use it again. Then when they get higher, it will be better to not use again. Mbak Egis ada?
Iya, halo.
Okay,
Yes, sir.
yeah. Okay, Mbak Egis. So there is no limitation actually, yeah. Yeah, the idea of one of the function of the task languaging is to scaffold, yeah, scaffolding, yeah. But again, it is very contextual, sangat kontekstual, ya. For example, like the teacher, if you want to explain a bargain in the local market, yeah, he can use Japanese. So the idea is the context, because when we communicate, we are engaged in the context. The context is what influence, the most influence aspect in communication. Yeah, what the context of that kind of communication. If in that context we need to translate language, you can do it. Although they can speak English. I can give you this example. In University of Southampton, there is musola. Ya, ada musola. Di pojokan itu ada musola. This musola is used by Muslim coming from Arabic, Indonesia, all over the world, ya. Jadi Muslim, pokoknya kalau dia Muslim, dia go, they want to pray and then they go to that musola. Those people can speak English well, very well maybe. Because kalau sudah keluar negeri kan IELTS minimal 6 lah ya. Yeah. Minimal, paling rendah itu kan 6 atau 6,5. They can speak English. In many times ya, even English is not used. Can you imagine, Mbak Agista? Even English is not used. Why? Yeah, for example, I met my Malaysian college, Malaysian friend ya. Saya ketemu dengan teman Malaysia. Kami pakai bahasa Melayu, ngapain pakai bahasa Inggris ya?
To get closer with the others ya, Pak.
Ya, kami bisa bahasa Inggris, ya. Bahkan mobil levelnya lebih advance mungkin ya. Karena IELTS tadi minimal 6 tadi kan. Tapi kami tidak pakai bahasa Inggris, kami lebih menggunakan bahasa Melayu, bahasa Indonesia. Ada dalam kesempatan, in other occasion, ada teman saya dari Lombok, dia bisa bahasa Arab. Karena sekolahnya dari kecil itu sekolah agama terus. Bahasa Arabnya oke. Ketemu teman dari Arab, dia pakai bahasa Arab. Kayak pahal. Alhamdulillah Arabic, English, we don't use English. Padahal mereka bisa bahasa Inggris. Okay. Another example, Mbak Agis. Another example, Codewell. Nanti kalau ada tulis artikelnya, nanti kalau saya kirim. Codewell itu he taught in Japan, international student in Japan. In the end of the semester, they have a kind of farewell party. Jadi di akhir semester mereka ada semacam kayak farewell party. And all the students came. Jadi seluruh siswa datang. Si Codewell itu berpikir, he thought that the student will use English. You know what? Apa yang terjadi? They speak Japanese. Mereka bicara bahasa Jepang. Padahal mereka bahasa Inggris. So what is the message? The message is not about the limitation, about the restriction, but the context. Ya, karena konteksnya mereka ada di Jepang, ya bikin party, ya mereka bisa bahasa Jepang dikit-dikit, they use Jepang. They use Japanese ya. Tadi di musola, karena kita ketemu dengan teman-teman yang satu rumpun, ketemu dengan teman yang bisa bahasa Arab, kita nggak ngomong bahasa Inggris, ngomong bahasa Arab. Jadi it is not about the limitation, but it is about the context, ya, about the situation, about the purpose, about the closeness, ya. Ya, ngapain kita ngomong bahasa Inggris? Walaupun kita di Inggris, kalau ketemunya dengan orang Malaysia gitu kan, dia juga lebih enjoy ngomong bahasa Melayu, ya udah kita ngomongnya pakai bahasa Melayu.
Okay, Pak. Thank
Is
you
that
very
answer your
much.
question, Mbak Agis?
My question is, so actually the translanguaging it's not a strategy, it's like an approach ya, Pak ya?
Yes, it's approach. Yeah, correct. This is approach, not strategy.
Oh,
The
okay.
strategy is pragmatic, ya.
Mhm.
If we talk about the strategy, we talk about the pragmatic.
Oh, okay.
The pragmatic
Okay.
strategy.
Mhm.
Because in translanguaging, in ML, there is a theory called accommodation.
Mhm.
Theory of accommodation. Ya. Jadi kita to accommodate word language in what situation.
Mhm. Okay.
For example, contoh lagi nih ya, akomodasi. Here, everything is done by telephone. If you want to say to ask for example, to the teacher, they prefer to use telephone rather than coming to school. Or if you want to ask something in the shop or in the office, if you want to, for example, to call the broadband provider, internet provider misalnya, we call them. Yeah. In many occasions, because they speak very fast. Yeah, they speak very fast, and I can't understand because they speak like kubur-kubur ya. And then I asked them, I'm sorry, I cannot get your point. Can you repeat once again, please? Kalau mereka tahu teori akomodasi, maka dia akan menjelaskannya dengan tone atau pace yang lebih slower pace, ya. Oke, Mr. Nizam, bla 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 bla. Oh, saya baru ngerti gitu. Karena dia nggak kubur-kubur. Kalau tadi kan kubur-kubur ya. Apa ini? I don't know. Nah, karena dia menerapkan teori akomodasi, dia tahu this is not the English speaker, ya. Dia menjelaskannya yang kedua itu dengan nada yang lebih slower, ya, bit by bit. Tetapi kalau dia nggak ngerti, ya, dia ngomong tambah cepat aja, bukan tambah. Karena dia marah maksudnya kan. Kalau di sini kalau di-interrupt itu is not polite, ya. Dia marah itu. I know, dia pragmatik ya, dia pragmatik. Tapi kan kalau di sini kalau sudah ngomong yes, kita nggak bisa apa-apa karena dia sudah prove that we have already agree with the term and condition kan. Jadi kalau kita bilang yes, padahal nanti 1 bulan 5 juta, mati kita, ya kan? Jadi, ya, jadi kalau strategi, we talk about the pragmatic strategy. Tapi kalau translanguaging is not the strategy, but this is the approach, ya. The approach, ya.
Yeah. Okay, so I can say it's like a bridge for teacher to get the students' attention to deliver better message ya Pak ke students karena studentsnya lebih close with the culture gitu ya.
Yeah. Because culture is one of the most influential part of communication. Yeah, we also pay attention to that. we can consider that aspect, the cultural aspect. Jadi kita juga harus perhatikan ya aspek budaya itu. Jadi nggak bisa kita apa namanya terlalu strict ya. Don't to be strict. Ya, the key is don't to be strict. Ya, don't to be strict. Because strictness itu kadang-kadang cannot promote, ya, cannot encourage, malah discourage itu in some occasion ya. Ya, bolehlah kita strict, tapi ada waktunya gitu. There is sometimes we very strict, but there is sometimes we loose ya. Jadi sometimes we very 50-50 gitu. Jadi ya bikin hidup ini indah gitu ya. Jangan terlalu strict. Wah, udah masuk aja siswa aja udah takut gitu ya. That's not learning. Ya kan? We try to make our present, kehadiran kita itu dinanti oleh siswa gitu loh. Jangan sampai nanti siswanya itu mending gurunya nggak masuk. Kayak dulu waktu saya SMP, ya, kalau guru matematika itu, moga-moga bapaknya nggak masuk. Karena apa? Guru matematika itu kan identik dengan dengan sangar gitu ya. Karena matematika kan, wah, tampangnya aja udah kayak, ya, we want to switch that ya, situation. We hope that by applying this approach, the student encourage, they tambah semangat, ya, they express something. Wah, itu luar biasa ya.
Oke, Pak. Thank you very much, Pak. It's clearer. Thank you.
Oke.
Assalamualaikum.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Okay,
Pak Willy.
I guess that's the last question because we are running out of time. For the last session, I would like you to check the link on the chat box for the attendance, and nanti attendance-nya akan digunakan untuk membuat sertifikat. Jadi if you want to get the certificate, please fill the attendance form yang ada di link. Saya reshare lagi ya.
Mbak Lipatur tadi belum ada ya?
Belum muncul sepertinya, Pak.
Saya belum jawab, sorry.
Okay, so yeah, if you still have,
really, are these audiences PBI student?
No, umum, Pak.
Oh, ada yang umum ya. Oke.
Yes.
Mbak Lipatur, mana orang ini? Oke, saya jawab ya, dikit. Willy, saya jawab ya, sebentar aja. Oke. Singkatnya ya, in brief, what is the difference between translanguaging and code switching? The first is from the conceptual framework. Ya, conceptual framework. Kalau code switching itu berasal dari pemikiran that student cannot speak English well, therefore they could switch. Ya, karena because bilingualism in the monolingual ideology is considered a problem. Itu yang lain ya. Jadi code switching itu negatif. Ya, negatif ya. Karena bilingualism is considered a problem or deficit. Jadi menurut orang monolingual ideology, kalau dia code switch, that means that you cannot speak English well. But in translanguaging approach or in multilingual ideology, this is not problem. This is potential. Yeah, you can use other language other than English to express yourself because you can utilize, you can make use your linguistic resources. Nah, jadi secara conceptual framework mereka sudah berbeda. Ya, kalau code switching itu dianggap negatif, kalau translanguaging itu sebaliknya positif. Nah, itu bedanya. Jadi bedanya berawal dari conceptual framework, berasal dari ideologi yang dipakai. Oke. Ya.
Okay, thank you very much, Pak Nizam. It's an eye-opening discussion. And if I may, I would like to recap the discussion in 3 points. Dari poin yang sudah dijelaskan Pak Nizam, ada 3 poin. Yang pertama, yang saya tangkap, yang penting sekali untuk kita pertimbangkan adalah bahwa bahasa itu harus dipandang secara holistik, bukan sebagai satu unit terpisah yang tidak berkaitan satu sama lain, melainkan mereka itu seperti suatu jalinan jaring mungkin ya Pak ya, yang saling melengkapi dan saling
Ya. Kalau bahasanya Garcia itu kayak spider web.
Ya, spider web, yes.
Ya.
Poin
Jaring gitu.
Yes.
Jadi interconnects ya, interconnects.
Siapa? Poin keduanya adalah translanguaging ini diperlukan, terutama di kelas-kelas di mana bahasa Inggris tidak digunakan sehari-hari, karena secara langsung maupun tidak langsung dia menjadi suatu bentuk acknowledging the students' mother tongue and first or second language. Jadi dengan memberikan mereka kesempatan untuk menggunakan bahasa-bahasa di luar bahasa Inggris, khususnya bahasa ibu mereka, mereka bisa lebih percaya diri dengan identitas mereka sebagai the speaker of that language. Dan yang ketiga adalah translanguaging ini sangat bisa membantu siswa untuk meningkatkan pemahaman terhadap materi. Jadi ketika mereka diberikan kesempatan untuk mengekspresikan gagasan dengan bahasa lain selain bahasa Inggris, tentunya dengan proporsi yang tepat, learning experience mereka akan menjadi lebih meaningful dan mereka akan lebih aktif untuk belajar tanpa ada rasa takut untuk mengungkapkan apa yang mereka pikirkan. Kalau semisal dilarang hanya boleh menggunakan bahasa Inggris, mereka akan cenderung takut, tetapi ketika diizinkan untuk memberikan gagasan melalui bahasa mereka dengan mix bahasa Inggris, tentu saja it will be a better learning experience for the students. Oke, terima kasih banyak. Thank you very much for all the participants for attending this session, and thank you very much for Pak Nizam for the insightful and eye-opening discussion. I learned a lot from this session, and I believe that the participants also learned a lot as well. And now let's end this meeting by reciting Hamdalah together. Alhamdulillah. We will see you again tomorrow in the main session of the conference. You can check the schedule on the given rundown. And also, if you haven't filled the attendance form, you can fill that. You can check the link on the chat box to get the certificate. Demikian, terima kasih banyak Pak Nizam untuk sharingnya.
Can we take a photo session, Pak Willy?
Oh yeah, sure. Oh yeah, I forgot that. Okay, so all the participants, please turn on the camera if you can. We're going to have a photo session with Pak Nizam. Please turn on the camera. So it may take a while, Pak. So please.
Okay, no problem. No worries.
Please turn on the camera. Okay, how about the others? Okay, I guess we can do it now. I will take the picture twice because we have 2 slides. Okay.
Cheese.
1. And second. Okay, thank you very much for all.
Okay.
Pak Nizam. Assalamualaikum.
Thank you very much. Yeah, see you.
Thank you. See you.